senators, and representatives, I have the distinguished honor of presenting.
The late 19th century, often called the Age of Imperialism, marked a time when powerful nations sought to extend their influence over weaker countries for economic, political, and strategic advantages. The United States, transitioning from a relatively isolated power to a global force, joined this international trend with actions and policies that left a lasting legacy. Imperialism is the policy by which a country extends its power and influence through diplomacy, economic pressure, or military force. For nations like Britain, France, and Germany, imperialism was a means to expand their global dominance. By the 1890s, the United States began to adopt similar strategies. American imperialism was driven by economic opportunities. A growing industrial economy demanded new markets and raw materials. Military strength was emphasized by advocates like Captain Alfred Thayer Mahan, who stressed the importance of a strong navy to secure trade routes and project power globally. The belief in the white man's burden and social Darwinism justified intervention in other nations as a moral obligation. Captain Alfred Thayer Mahan argued that a strong navy and overseas bases were essential for national greatness. He stated, "Whoever rules the waves rules the world." Senator Albert Beveridge, a vocal supporter of imperialism, championed the expansion of markets to bolster America's economic power, declaring, "The Philippines are ours forever, and just beyond the Philippines are China's illimitable markets." Under President William McKinley's leadership, the U.S. pursued aggressive expansionist policies, including the Spanish-American War and the annexation of new territories. Hawaii's strategic location and fertile lands made it a prime target for annexation. The U.S. overthrew Queen Liliuokalani and established a naval base at Pearl Harbor, marking America's first major step into the Pacific. The Spanish-American War, sparked by the explosion of the USS Maine in Havana Harbor, highlighted America's growing military power. The Treaty of Paris granted the U.S. control of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines, while Cuba, nominally independent, became a U.S. protectorate under the Platt Amendment. The Philippine-American War showcased the darker side of imperialism, with significant loss of life and widespread criticism. Filipino resistance against U.S. control, led by Emilio Aguinaldo, resulted in a brutal conflict. The open-door policy, proposed by Secretary of State John Hay, aimed to prevent European powers from monopolizing trade in China, reinforcing America's commitment to equal trading rights and its growing influence in Asia. American imperialism yielded significant benefits, including economic expansion as new markets in Asia, Latin America, and the Pacific boosted U.S. industries. Territories like the Philippines provided access to raw materials and strategic trade routes. Naval bases in Guam, Hawaii, and the Philippines allowed the U.S. to project power globally, and the Panama Canal, completed in 1914, enhanced military and trade efficiency. The white man's burden, coined by British poet Rudyard Kipling, argued that Western powers had a duty to civilize and uplift non-Western peoples, though critics saw this as a thinly veiled excuse for exploitation. Social Darwinism applied Darwin's theory of evolution to nations, suggesting that stronger countries were naturally destined to dominate weaker ones. Opposition to imperialism was voiced by the Anti-Imperialist League, featuring figures like Mark Twain and Andrew Carnegie, who criticized imperialism as undemocratic and contrary to American values. Twain remarked, "There must be two Americas, one that sets the captive free and one that takes a once captive's new freedom away." By 1900, the U.S. was recognized as a major world power, with territories spanning the globe. America's involvement in global affairs grew, setting the stage for participation in World Wars I and II. Governing overseas territories like the Philippines and Puerto Rico raised questions about citizenship, rights, and self-determination. The ethical dilemmas of imperialism continue to shape debates over America's foreign policy. Imperialism opened new markets and introduced American culture abroad, but it also fostered resistance and resentment in colonized regions. The Age of Imperialism was a defining moment in U.S. history, marked by expansion, ambition, and controversy. While it brought economic and strategic benefits, it also sparked ethical debates and resistance at home and abroad. Understanding this period helps us appreciate the complexities of American foreign policy and the enduring impact of imperialism on the modern world.